Sometimes they don't leave because something was missing in you. They leave because your consistency became their boredom. They don't want safety. They want the thrill of starting over again and again, even if it means breaking hearts that once made them feel whole. Welcome to Broken Truth, where love meets lies, and every story reveals the pain behind the smile. Some people are addicted to the rush of newness, the fluttering excitement of early love, the mystery of a new soul, the chase of the unknown. But this craving isn't love, it's an emotional escape when the relationship begins to settle. Into routine, into depth, into comfort, they mistake it for stagnation. Loyalty feels dull to them, so they chase novelty, believing that the next connection will always be more exciting. What they're running from isn't you. It's their own inability to sit with calm love, and in that chase, they betray not only you, but the truth of what love actually is. She didn't notice it at first. Love doesn't disappear overnight. It softens, it fades at the edges. It stops holding your hand when you're not looking. At first, his messages came later, then shorter, then full of silence between the lines. She still replied with warmth, with soft misuse and come home soons. But his answers began to feel like replies from a stranger who happened to remember her name. They used to share playlists, now they shared distance. They used to talk like they were saving each other. Now it was small talk between long pauses. She held on, even as he began letting go. Not because she didn't see it, but because she still believed in the beginning version of him. The one who stayed up late just to hear her laugh. The one who used to say, "You're my calm in a world full of noise." But the calm became boring to him. The noise began to call him back. It happened on a Tuesday. He didn't say he was leaving. He just didn't come back. No fight, no closure, just the quiet betrayal of indifference. A few days later, he posted a picture with someone new, smiling wide, holding hands. That glow people wear when everything is fresh and untainted. It was the same smile he once wore for her. She stared at the photo for hours. Not because she missed him, but because she missed who she was when she still believed she was enough to be stayed for. The real heartbreak wasn't that he left. It was realizing he left because she became too familiar. He didn't leave for someone better. He left for someone new. And in that, she discovered a pain deeper than betrayal. The pain of being reduced to a memory someone got bored of. Nights became slower, music hurt, clothes smelled like old conversations, and every corner of the house echoed with almost. She sat by the window some nights, watching the street where his car used to park, not to wait for him, but to mourn the girl who used to run to that door when she heard him coming. Her friends told her to hate him, to move on, to block, to forget. But healing doesn't come through rage for everyone. Sometimes it comes in quiet, in rereading old texts, not to feel loved again, but to spot the moment the love ended. She found it the moment, a message he sent weeks before leaving. "Hey, I might be late tonight, got dinner. Plans with an old friend." She remembered brushing it off. She trusted him, and in that trust, he found his escape. He didn't cheat in that moment, but he started wanting to, and wanting is where betrayals begin. He wasn't bad, just weak, just addicted to beginnings too. That high you get when everything is new. The spark, the chase, the drama. He didn't want a partner. He wanted a feeling. And she, with her quiet, dependable love, became too still for his chaos. In the silence, she learned this truth. Some people don't fall out of love, they fall out of thrill. And if love doesn't constantly surprise them, they leave, not because you're unlovable, but because they don't know how to stay once the fire becomes warm instead of wild. She cried, then she journaled, then one day she lit a candle and didn't think of him. It came slow, that healing, but it came. Some nights, she still heard his laugh in the hallways. Memory plays cruel tricks when love ends quietly. Not with a bang, but with the sound of keys that stopped turning the door lock, with the sound of a voice that once said, "Text me when you get home," and then never texted again. She replayed everything, the way he used to pull her close and whisper, "Let's never be boring." She didn't realize what that meant back then. Now she knows. He wasn't afraid of losing her. He was afraid of stability, of stillness. He used to call her home, but he wanted a vacation. Something temporary, thrilling, filled with selfies and moments you don't unpack. She remembered one evening in particular. They were lying on the couch, her head on his chest. A movie playing softly, she said, "I could do this with you forever." He didn't answer. She thought he fell asleep. Now she wonders if maybe he realized in that moment. Forever felt like a cage to someone who only loved for the beginning of things. The hard part wasn't being left. It was being replaced so easily. A new girl with the same playlist, the same jokes, the same forehead kisses she once believed were sacred. He didn't take time to mourn her because he didn't lose her. He outgrew her peace, and yet she stayed soft. She didn't call him, didn't beg. Instead, she let herself shatter quietly, not to gain his pity, but to honor what she felt, because what they had was real. For her, even if it was just a passing season for him, she stopped asking, "Was I not enough?" She started asking, "Why do some people only love the version of you they haven't met yet?" Weeks passed, then months. The grief turned from sharp to dull. The dreams stopped, including him. And one morning, she woke up and didn't reach for her phone to check if he'd seen her story. Healing doesn't scream, it whispers. It arrives when you no longer need revenge, when your peace no longer depends on their apology. One night, she walked past a place they used to go. He was there with the new girl, same table, same smile. She paused, not to make a scene, just to see, and she realized. He looked happy, but so did she, because for the first time, she didn't feel replaced, she felt free. That was the difference. He chased new highs. She learned how to breathe again. She no longer envied the new girl. She pitied her, because she knew what was coming. She knew how he'd smile too big in the beginning, how he'd say all the right things, and how eventually he'd drift. Because no one can keep being new forever. She walked away, not bitter, not broken, just wiser, and in that, she found something better than closure. She found herself. Healing didn't come all at once. It came in moments that didn't look like healing at all, like washing the same mug every morning, opening the curtains, breathing through the silence, making her bed. At first, it was just survival, but slowly, it became something softer. Ritual. She stopped calling it heartbreak. She started calling it what it was, a redirection, a reminder, a release some days. The grief visited like an old friend, uninvited, but familiar. She didn't chase it away. She let it sit beside her, not to wallow, but to listen. The sadness wasn't weakness, it was her heart telling the truth out loud. I gave everything. I was steady, I was loyal, and I was left. And that hurt, but it wasn't her fault. Love should never punish you for being constant. It should meet you there, built there. She started journaling, not to figure him out, but to figure herself out. What parts of me believed that being chosen meant being chased? Why did I confuse unpredictability with passion? Why did I think someone leaving meant I wasn't enough? She wrote those questions, and one by one, she answered them. She made space in her home, removed his things, cleared drawers, took down old photos, not out of anger, out of respect for herself. She needed room to breathe, not remember. She learned how to cook for one and still light a candle on the table, because she deserved effort, even if no one else was watching. When people asked about him, she didn't flinch. She just said, he was part of the story, not the ending. The real turning point came quietly. A friend hugged her after dinner one night and said, "You feel lighter." And she realized She was not because she forgot him, but because she finally remembered herself. She began trusting slower connections, people who didn't rush, people who didn't need her to shrink to fit their idea of excitement. She started setting boundaries, not walls, just gentle reminders. I don't chase, I don't beg, I don't perform. She started viewing her consistency as her power. She didn't want roller coasters anymore. She wanted someone who saw the beauty in a quiet Sunday morning, not just the thrill of a Friday night. And maybe love would come again. Maybe it wouldn't. But she was no longer waiting to be saved by it. She became her own peace, her own home, and in the softest, realest way, she healed. If someone left you for new excitement, it says nothing about your worth, only their fear of depth. True love doesn't leave when things become familiar. It begins there. This is broken truth. Subscribe for more stories that finally say what your heart never got to.